Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 8, interviewing Twin Flames. And I'm very happy today to be joined by Kel, who identifies as a divine masculine. And you have your own TikTok channel as well. Welcome to the interview.
Thank you for having me.
And so, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, about your, how people can follow you? I'll put all the links in the description as well. So,
Um, so I met my twin in May 2019, and I was a medium. I still do it. Okay. However, she found me because I placed a Facebook advert to the whole of the country at that time, and who should respond but my twin? So go on.
wait, you're a medium.
Yes, I'm a medium, and I'm an intuitive energy reader, and I'm an inner child healer.
And
So I
you,
am the very spiritual side, whereas my DF is the homemaker with the children. So we're very different to a lot of twins.
so you were spiritual before you met your twin flame.
But I wasn't awake. I want to make that really clear.
What does that mean?
Okay. So even though I was a medium, I was not spiritually awake, I promise you. But I knew ever since I was a child that I had this gift that I could connect to the other side. I was born with it, if you want to call it that.
So
Okay.
mediums are people who see
And
dead
I did
people.
it.
Mediums are people who see dead people, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
just for the audience. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So you met your twin flame in 2019, and then what? She contacted you.
Yeah. So she booked me for a reading. And when the camera switched on, I went, oh my God, it's you, the one from my dream. And I knew in that second, and I knew nothing about twin flames, but I can tell you, I had dreamt about this figure that was 5'9" on a beach with two dogs, and I was bending down to propose to this woman and marry her. And I dreamt that 3 or 4 times. I don't know, every couple of years. I had the same reoccurring dream, but when I saw her, because I could never see the face in any of my dreams. Okay. But when I saw her, I was like, oh my God, it's you. And that was
Yeah.
it.
And I think with a lot of twin flames, soon as they see them, when I saw my one, it was straight away, you're the one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I felt at home, and I felt such deep unconditional love for this person that was struggling with the death of her mother. I really did.
Okay. So she contacted you. Did the mother come through in the reading?
Yeah, it did. And then, because normally I'm really good at keeping to my time, but I ended up chatting to her for nearly 2 hours. Then we became friends on Facebook. But she's a straight woman with 3 children, and she was with a man for 17 years. Um, and I was determined that even though I knew I was in love with her, that I was not going to tell her because I just wanted her friendship. And at that time, I want you guys to know I had so much childhood trauma coming up. From the moment I met her, I could feel all of this stuff coming up inside of me.
So,
But she held me, and we used to speak on FaceTime for 7 to 8 hours a day. She would sneak around trying to call me. She would call me every time she possibly could. I knew I was the first thought on her mind. And we had a really beautiful, gorgeous 10 weeks until her partner found out about us. And he thinks I'm a guy, which is cool, awesome. And that's when we hit the crisis stage, so to speak.
so I want to talk about divine feminine, divine masculine, how you identify, because you said he thought you was a guy. Like, how do you know which one you are? And because normally people say if you're the spiritual one, you're the divine feminine. If you're the runner, you're the masculine. Like, how do you know?
So I think so. I've just made a video on tarot on my own TikTok page
Which
because
is which is what?
I
What's the name of your TikTok?
DF to DM 888.
Okay, let me write
So
this down.
I knew because I knew I didn't feel good enough. Okay, but I didn't. So I figured out I was a twin. I think it was about after 6 weeks after she blocked me. Now she blocked me because she told me she couldn't cope with me and my childhood trauma. Bearing in mind her marriage of 17 years had fallen apart, she was left with 3 children, and she had to put her children and herself first. And I was very needy. I was in a very, very bad place when I was with her. Like, I was hanging on to her. So anyway, I figured out 6 weeks afterwards, because I just remember going, I could feel like her energy, and I was like, what are we? And then this article on Google popped up and said Peterborough, where she lives, and Twin Flames. But it was like Peterborough Housing Development, and then it was Twin Flames. And I was like, is that what we are? Oh, but then I figured out that I was the DM by pure accident, because I remember I came across tarot, and I remember I watched it for a little bit, and I was like, why is all tarot aimed at DM? And why is there nothing about my DF? And bearing in mind, I had only watched a couple of tarot readings, and I was like, huh? You're talking about me. You're not talking about her. And then I started massively running from myself. And I can only look back now and tell you that I finally figured out everything probably July, August last year, when I went, actually, do you know what? I have been the DM throughout our whole experience, but there was a little bit where I did chase her at the very beginning.
So were you confused at one point where you thought you were the DF?
Yes. Oh my God, yes. I thought I was the DF for a good long while, but actually, I have an intuitive knowing. I can honestly sit here now and tell you that I have been the DM all the way along. But because social media and all the coaches tell you the spiritual one is the DF,
Yeah.
I did believe for a very long time that I was the DF. I
So
did. I want to say that honestly.
what are the characteristics? Obviously, you're LGBTQ plus. I'm going to assume, is correct me if I'm wrong. So am I. And
To be honest, I don't have a label.
okay,
Okay, I don't identify as anything. My name is Kel, and I am a soul walking this earth plane.
okay.
And I will go with a soul that I am emotionally connected to, because I have been with men and I have been with women. Although the last man I was with was back in 2016.
Thank you for being so honest and transparent. So I was also told that I must be the DF because I'm spiritual. I was chasing.
Yeah.
What are the characteristics between? Because this is especially if you're in same-sex connections as well. I think, or if
Yes.
you have like sometimes a woman who's a DM, and it gets a bit confusing because the heteronormative world, heterosexual people, they think of it as the man, the masculine, the feminine, the woman. So, are there any characteristics to look out for?
I would say the biggest sign for me with the DM is the fact that I wanted to avoid my childhood trauma, and I didn't want to do any work on myself. And I know that I run from myself, and I even felt myself run a little tiny bit because I was around somebody last night who is a drunk. But I managed to stay in my body, but I did feel the need to want to leave the house really quickly, but I managed to stay in it. So I know that when I can look back now over 5 years and go, the DM is the one that doesn't want to do the work. But the more that you guys, the DF, surrenders, the more that you hold us, the more that we are able to just get that breathing space, because that's where you chase. Yeah. But the more that you guys surrender, I promise you, oh my God, do
Because
we feel your deep, deep surrender?
I like your channel. Someone sent me your channel, and then lots of people sent me mess. A lot of the questions I'm going to ask you is what people have sent me. But I remember in one of your videos, you were like, and I wrote a comment on it. You wrote, "Oh, can you stop chasing?" or something about it, like if you stop chasing, da
Yeah.
da da. I'm like, it's not in our control.
I
Please, I
know.
wish it
I know
was.
it's
I wish we
not,
could
but
end it.
I think for you guys, I think you chase because you know how incredible it can be.
Yes.
Okay. And I know, because my twin did, and this is, I'll tell you this now. So my twin knew we were twins straight away. I know that. I can look back now, even though I've not spoken to her, I could tell you and give you £1,000,000, because she turned round to me just before she told me that she was in love with me, because she told me first.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was Father's Day 2019. And she said to me, can't you see, Kel, it's me. I'm the one from your dream. And I'd never told her my dream. And I said to her, "What do you mean?" And she said, "It's a cold, windy day, and you are down on one knee, and you want to propose to me. I am the one from your dream. I am your one."
It's interesting
There you
because
go.
we know. But they say the
And I
masculine.
and I know, and she used to say to me stuff like, "But we're the same soul, like we're the same person, aren't we?" And then she would say to me like, "I know what you're thinking," and I'd be like, "Go on then," and then she'd tell me, and I'd be like, oh, "Stop doing that," because it's freaky that you guys are so you see inside of us, and of course, I want to be really honest here. I had no idea who I was. Honestly, I am now my true authentic self, but because of my childhood trauma, I've spent so long being disassociated. I didn't know who I was. And then you guys come along, you can see inside our soul, you can see everything about us, you see our wounds, and it's got to be really hard for you guys not to want to heal us. As I understand it. Yeah. Because I think
Mm.
all you guys want to do is you want to help us because you know the way to help us. But we got to figure it out because we got to stop running, but you got to stop chasing.
We see the best in you. We see the divine version, the angelic version, the higher self version, the best version we see in you.
Yeah.
And then when you act like an idiot, we're like, why are you doing that?
Yeah, no, honestly, I know my twin has been very, very frustrated with me. Very. I mean, even I said to you, just a little bit of a chat we had earlier, I did think about dating three people before Christmas, and I literally remember seeing in my mind's eye my twin going, "Oh, for fuck's sake,
Yeah.
why?"
Why?
I heard her go in her head, "But why? Why? Because I'm here." But like I said, I'm somebody that believes that we have to meet people to get experiences because you don't want to hurt me.
So do you
But
think
the
that's
only
it?
way, the
Some
only
people.
way I'm going to learn as the masculine is if I get hurt and I feel that pain because that triggers heart opening for you more.
So they say the feminine is triggered by the masculine, and then the masculine is triggered by the entire world. The masculine learns and gets triggered through the 3D, whereas the feminine
Mhm.
is more sort of learning from the 5D. Do you think
Yes.
that's true?
Yes, I do. I would say I have only learned from the things that have physically happened to me as the experience in my body, even though I'm an intuitive energy reader. I would honestly say that. So I
Wow,
had to
it's
be with a
emotional.
gorgeous soulmate for a year, and it was so up and down. But she taught me that I was a fearful, avoidant attachment type, which is something my twin flame could not have taught me. And Carly, my ex-partner, she held me through a lot of my childhood trauma and a lot of my crying. And she, for want of a better word, I thought she was my twin for a little bit, if I'm honest.
Yeah, that happens
Yeah.
with some
Yeah.
masculines. I know they get confused.
Yeah.
Um,
And but the thing is, she told me she was my twin. And one of the things my soulmate said to me was, "But I'm here right now and I love you. I love every bit of you. I love the fucked up version of you. Sorry to swear. But I love the whatever version of you that is in front of me. And I adore you. And I just want to be with you." And I literally did think, well, you got to be my twin then because my twin in it. Do you know? So yeah.
Yeah. And they do say, you gotta unconditionally love your twin, and it's like so hard when you see them acting. Some often, some of divine masculines might have addictions and things as well. But let's talk about childhood trauma because this is a very big one, and you
Yes.
also work in inner child healing, so you do a lot of that work. And they do
Yes.
say, I don't know if this is true or not true, and I want to ask you. They say the divine masculine has a really like far worse life than the feminine, but feminines have hard lives too. I didn't come from a rosy background. You know.
No, I would just so yes. So I've been working with a few DMs, and yes, childhood trauma is one of the biggest things, most definitely. Because I want to say, like, if I hadn't have met her, then I would never ever be where I am today. And
Yeah.
my childhood trauma was really quite extreme as it goes. But I will never ever say that what happened to me as a kid is any different to anybody else because my experience is valid because I'm me. But I will say honestly, like, that's what I do for a living mainly. I'm an inner child healer, so I help people resolve, their childhoods. And I do it from a spiritual perspective, though, by the way. I teach people how to find little them inside of them because I can see little you inside of you. I don't know how I can do that, by the way, but I can.
Do you think it's also because of your mediumship?
Yes, yeah. So, but I
What?
will tell you this honestly. I know intuitively my twin started healing her inner child before I did.
Yeah.
So I've only been an inner child healer since 2020, but I put myself out there officially in 2022 because I was still healing alongside that.
By the way, it's 11:11. I was
I just
checking.
saw that.
Yeah.
I saw that the same time as you, and I was like, oh,
I see
really?
11:11 all the time these days. Okay. So, with childhood trauma, what is the best way in which to work on that for our viewers, for people watching? There's a lot of divine masculines waking up right now. Do you agree on that?
Yes, 100%. So I've only started coaching the last couple of weeks. I didn't even intend to make my channel for that, but I have done more DM chats than I have DF chats.
Yeah, I used to get a lot of DFs, and now DM. It's getting quite.
Yeah, and I'm also finding that it's the user number that is following me and they don't have a name.
Oh,
Okay. And
okay.
it's not until I click on it that I'm like at James or at Sean because they haven't made the whole complete profile on TikTok. And actually, I've probably got slightly more DFs, but I've got at least 150 DMs following me, and I've only got 500 followers at the moment.
And like DMs that are running, do they spy on their DFs as well? Then do they check on them with
Yeah,
fake
I have.
profiles?
Yeah,
Fake profiles.
yeah,
Okay,
I have, but my twin isn't on social media.
that's a
So
blessing.
yeah, no. So, but I have checked on her son, who is a dancer, and but then her daughter blocked me, for whatever reason. So I did find her daughter as well. But no, I have never seen anything of my twin in 5 years on social media because she only created a profile 6 weeks before she met me because intuitively she knew I was coming. She told me that.
We talked about stuff
So,
privately earlier, but we're not going to get into that. But like about profiles being created, it's all divinely
yeah, yeah.
orchestrated.
I mean, honestly, my twin did create a fake profile back in December, and she in November, and she sent me some wavy hands, and I was like, "What are you doing?"
So
Right?
you know when it's fake.
Yeah, yeah, because you can feel it. Well, I can. Again, I can only give you my experience, but I she started following me in March last year on my other channel, my inner child channel, because I was like, oh, 9125. I was like, that's you. I know that's you. And then she watched a load of my videos to see where I was at, but she was in quite a surrendered state. She wasn't in a chasing state.
So can we talk about like the best way? Do you what's your perception of the best way to deal with childhood traumas then?
It is to find little you inside. Yeah, it is. You've got to find that version of you. So, from my perspective, there are different versions of you that are damaged at different times, and you carry stories which create your beliefs.
Yeah,
Yeah. So for me, for example, I've always believed men are unsafe because of what my dad did to me as a kid.
yeah.
Yeah. And then I had to find LK, my inner child deep inside of me. And that took me about 6 weeks of constantly visiting her in my mind, doing meditations, etc., before I felt like her little hand come to me. And then I started working with her and connecting with her. And that's what I teach people from the
So
spiritual
so
aspect.
you build trust with your inner child, and
Yeah.
then
So, yeah.
you like love it, or what do you do?
Yeah, so working with me, I teach people to build the trust. Okay, so I want you to think of this, guys watching. Okay, so let's just imagine 6-year-old you is still sat on that beach, and that traumatic moment has happened, which creates your stuck feeling. Okay, so if any of you feel stuck, I bet you 6, 9, 10, however old version of you. Bearing in mind there are different versions of you damaged at different times. Okay, but for me, 4-year-old little LK was still sat there waiting for her daddy who had just abused her. Okay. Um, and for me, the biggest thing is I had to get her trust because I had abandoned her for nearly 35 years when I started working with her. So you imagine the resentment and how alone. So if any of you feel alone, you feel alone because deep inside of you, there's a part of you that is not integrated inside of you, if you're with me.
So that works on this life. Do you believe in like past lives, ancestral
Yeah.
stuff, and all
Yeah,
that
yeah.
thing?
I did a load of ancestral work. I think it was December. last year. I did my ancestral trauma, where I found out I was still connected to my uncle, my great grandma, and my great auntie. So yes, I do believe we carry things on energetically throughout. But yeah, so just quickly, just going back to the inner child. So then I started playing, having games, having fun with her. And then when we were doing things like spirograph, or we were, I don't know, playing a board game in my mind, I would be like, okay, you know that stuff that dad did? And she'd be like, and I'd hear her in my head, and she'd be like, yeah. And I'd like, you know that that was wrong, don't you? And then the tears would fall, and then the energy would release. So that's how I teach people. And then I just started doing some, then I started reading books about different things. So I had massive enmeshment with my mum. I massively felt responsible for her because my mum had like a nervous breakdown when I was 9, and I had to take care of my brother and me and do everything. Therefore, I've always felt responsible for my mum throughout my whole life. So I started working on my enmeshment, and I read books, and then I started doing things like I knew I had abandonment issues, and again I read books. That's just me, but I've spent a lot of money. I've spent courses as well, just like you have. Okay, but I will always say that any course I've done, I've stopped once I feel like I've got what I needed from that. And I'll always say I'll only read a book until I can no longer take it.
So you started this heat inner work after your twins surrendered, is that correct? Or you were doing it before that?
Yeah, no. So I did I did a program in 2020 because I knew we were twins. I was like, okay, cool. So I need to heal myself, and I did want her at that point. Okay, however, I knew because I'd done some tapping before, so I started doing EFT tapping just before my twin blocked me and walked away from me completely. Okay, so but I knew metaphysical anatomy as a medium, and I knew that I had trapped trauma in my body, and I knew that was what was creating all this stuff in my life. So I worked with a guy called Aaron Dougherty. I bought his course called Emotional Freedom. And I only did about 7 or 8 modules, but one of his meditations was about sitting with your higher self, and your higher self showed you the memory. And then he's got an integration feeling where you feel what happened to you. And oh my God, did I cry? Did I punch cushions? Did I literally scream? But I'm telling you, when I screamed, I felt that energy release my body, which meant I can no longer get triggered.
So I want to ask you two follow-up questions. Is so when you met your twin flame, you said all that trauma came to the surface. So do you think that's quite common, and that's the reason why DMs run
Yes.
when they meet their twin flame, trauma comes up?
Yeah, because you can see inside of us, and that is scary. Yeah, you see the best version of us. And my twin did say to me, I'm here to save your soul. And I can see, I know, and I can feel your pain. And I was like, you got to stop doing that. That's scary. Because I ran from her 8 times when we were together for 10 weeks. Even though we never had a relationship, we had a friendship, but I was constantly running. And she was like, she'd ring me and she's like, stop running, stop running. But you can't help it when you've got so much childhood trauma in your body, because it's the energy, not you. It's my energy that is trapped at my situation that is causing me to feel that way, which is causing me to run.
So for us, I think our stuff comes up as well, but we want to work on it. So we come to you to think that you're gonna perhaps fix us, maybe, I don't know. And you
Yeah,
like,
yeah, no, that's really common in terms of like the runner fixer kind of dynamic. And of course, you guys meet us and you have unhealed inner child, but you don't know that,
yeah.
because that's what causes the runner, the fixer side of it. I work with so many people who are like, I just want to heal my twin flame because I know I still. I'm like, the best thing you can do, honestly, if you're a DF watching this, heal yourself, because what you heal in you heals us. So my twin started inner child work, which then started me properly doing my work.
You
But
know,
she had to go first.
I thought that I had dealt with my own issues. I've had lots of inner work done, lots of stuff done for years and years. I've been spiritual for such a long time. Um, and then still there's stuff there, right? And that people say when you heal, they your twin heals instantly. But then some people say there's a lag time, or they have to go for. What do you think?
Okay, cool. So I can give you a true account, which I know I can validate in terms of my intuition. Okay, all right. So so last July, okay, I was about to get back with my partner for the 10th time because I knew I had to stay. Okay.
Which
And
partner?
my
Sorry.
twin was on the bed crying, and was saying to me, please don't, baby, please don't get back with her, please. And then I said, I literally just remember that moment and I can recall it right here in this second. And then I remember I was like, well, why are you crying? And she's like, it's your dad. It's your dad. And I was like, what? So anyway, as a result of her coming to me and telling me, because she just worked on her dad's stuff, that's when I bought a book called The Unavailable Father. And then I started looking at my daddy issues that I had.
And why is it that the
So
feminine must go through it first?
but then I would also say that I don't know. I mean, I can't validate her experience, can I? Okay, but all I want to say is I do know that when she's come to me in dreams, because dreams are massive in Twin Flame. Okay, I don't know what your experience is, but that's how I know Union was coming for me, because she kept coming into me in my dreams and talking to me and telling me, and she does have to kick my butt in my dreams because I'm very much a I don't want to do it, and I don't know why, but that's just me. Okay. However, um, she has come to me and told me stuff in my dreams that I need to do, but that's because she's just healed that inside of herself.
And then how long does it take to see the difference in the divine masculine then? So if the feminine's doing the work,
So I would say she had worked on her because I couldn't feel her. I went through a period in May, June, and I was like, I know intuitively you're doing some work. And I kept seeing her dad. I kept thinking she's working on her dad. And I was like, I don't need to work on my dad. I've done my dad. You see, I've done my dad wound 5 times.
okay.
Yeah. And that's where you talk about having to revisit it. So I've done the mother wound 6 times. Yeah. And it was only December last year that I did a meditation and I connected to my mum in my heart space. And I actually was able to call her mother, not my prime. So I used to call my mum my primary caregiver. Yeah, because of how she abused me as a child. Um, that I was actually able to call her mum. And I literally, inside of myself, I went, you've healed it with your mum.
Okay. Now I'm going to ask you questions that have been sent,
Okay, that's cool. Go on, go for it.
if you're okay with that. But yeah, so basically you have to revisit things sometimes, layers and layers and layers.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. I honestly, just quickly, I've looked at my abandonment wound 7 times. Honestly, I've done various meditations, I've done courses, I've read books, but I know the abandonment wound is the biggest one. And I know that's why separation happens. And that's why some DFs feel so bad. It is the abandonment wound. And if any of these words that I've said to you guys whilst you've been watching, if you've had a feeling inside of yourself, that's something that I would say as an intuitive energy reader is you're feeling it because it's relevant to you at this point in your journey.
Oh, it's so deep though, isn't it? All this stuff. Yes, it is deep.
But can I just say, like, it is so beautiful the other side of it because I'm on the other side. Yeah. So I'm in a constant, peaceful, beautiful, bliss, surrendered state. And I know my twin is holding such deep surrender and I feel her 24/7, but there's no fighting. There's no jerk in between us now. But for 5 years, it has been she's done whatever, I've done whatever. But now, and I said this to my friend last night, who's a lovely DF, I said, it's like we're counterbalancing each other. And for
Mm.
me, I'm trying to hold her energy inside of me on a regular basis without wanting to run from her energy. But because she's so surrendered and because she has done all her work and she is so deeply calm and peaceful, it's allowing me to just come down beautifully and be surrendered to. So you guys hold surrender and you continue to hold surrender. Oh my God, can I just say that is the quickest way to union?
And what work did she do on herself?
She's done loads. She's because she's very intuitive, so she knew that she had massive mother issues, as did I. She had huge dad issues because her dad turned his back on her when he found out that she liked a woman. So she's worked on her dad. She had huge abandonment because she was in a narcissistic relationship, but because she didn't do social media and never had, and she never drove, so she's never left Peterborough. So she had no idea when I met her, even though she was quite intuitive, that she was in quite an abusive situation. So she had to heal her inner child, and she knew that. So I know that she's just done, I know that like everything that she's looked at has eventually come down the line to me because either I've had a dream or a video show, like the mother wound. I know she did that because then I did a meditation for some reason and I saw her and she showed me like a mother on like a plaque, and I was like, are you doing that? And then I started doing it because I was like, because I knew we were twins. I was like, well, if you're doing that, I guess I better do it. So we do get it, but I want to say, like, honestly, can I just say the dreams have been the biggest way for me, the DM, that I understand that what you guys are doing is what I need to do.
But it's whether the DM is awake to or realizes the signs and the dreams and the telepathy.
Oh, I honestly, I saw the signs for years. I saw the signs for
So
years,
did
but
you acknowledge that?
I can look back and say I can acknowledge that. But when I used to see things like 11:11, I was like, oh, go away. Nah, go away. Go away.
Well,
But I can tell you, it's only because she went into surrender first did I actually go, well, I guess I better then.
how long did it take her to surrender?
2 years. Easy. 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I said to you off camera, I said to you, I was doing a puzzle on a campsite because I used to live in a van. Um, and literally, I heard a song lyric in my head because songs are brilliant for us, by the way, even though I never liked them. I was like, oh, God, it's you again. Okay. It's like you guys don't leave us alone, but it's
well,
really
and
lovely.
vice
But
versa.
yeah, but but anyway, I was just sat doing this puzzle and I heard a bit of a song lyric which was I surrender, and I literally felt this beautiful deep bliss inside of me, and I remember just literally closing my eyes and going, oh my God, that feels good. Oh, wow. Because all of a sudden, she pulled back all of her energy. And after that, she was gone for 6 clear months. I didn't feel her. I didn't have a dream about her.
And did that
Yes, I thought about her, but she totally turned around and faced herself, which gave me the breathing space to then do my work.
did that freak you out though? Did you think, oh, where's she gone?
Yes. But listen, I had to miss her and our energy because she'd been slowly feeding me energy all this time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So she was always checking on me or doing whatever. And I can only tell you that's what I'm feeling. Okay. But the minute that she was, so I remember waking up the next day and going, well, where you gone? And that's abandonment. But it was the abandonment that made me go, I want you back. No, where have you gone? So because she cut herself off for me energetically, because of her surrender and facing her, then I went, I better do my work. And oh my God, have I been on a mission for 2.5 years to do my work? But I've done my work because I wanted my peace, not because I wanted her. I wanted to feel peaceful because I was so sick of my childhood trauma running my life.
Okay, let's ask the questions. Okay,
Go
question
on.
one: do you know when union will happen, or are you as just as unknown as the DF?
You know, because you start to I start to, well, for me, I started to feel you guys around me, and I said to you earlier, I know it's inevitable and I can't avoid it now. I know that now. But yes, we know because we start to feel you around us. So I felt my twin around me 2 years ago, but we slowly start to feel you, and that's how we know union's coming. And we get Union Jack signs, and we do see the swans, and we do see the 888s. Yes.
Do you
So
think?
we know.
Do you feel like all twin flames are meant to be in union?
Well, that's a good question. Do I feel? I feel like it's a choice you can make if I'm honest. And I want to say that because who I'm living with, the chances of union for her, because of what's happened with her twin son being murdered, I don't know, but I would say it's up to you if you're prepared to do the work.
So who makes the choice? The divine feminine or the masculine? Like
I
who?
would say that's at soul contract level.
Okay. And then what about free will versus divine will? So free will is I can decide myself, or that soul contract is divinely guided that you're meant to be.
So I would say soul contract is you're meant to be. So I know it doesn't matter what I do, I'm going to go back to my twin. It
And
doesn't matter how far I run.
how do you know whether you have a soul contract to be in union? Do you just feel it innately?
Yeah, you feel it innately. I can, as an intuitive energy reader, I knew when I met her that she was my person. I knew that, but I knew that I had to go and do a huge amount of work on myself to even get anywhere near close.
So do you feel it only for yourself, or do you feel it for other twins as well?
I feel it for other twins as well. I've started working with a lot of other twins, and I can feel. I feel collectively right now. This is why I'm putting my channel out. A lot of DMs are awakening, but it's only because
Feminines
you
have
DFs have been
surrendered
doing your work.
and surrendered.
Yeah. And like I said, I've got 150 out of 500 people following me that are DMs. So that tells me, and I've also done most of my coaching has been DMs in the last week and a half that I've put myself out there.
So I get some twin flames, feminines, who say, I know in this lifetime it's not union for me. So maybe they can feel that for themselves, perhaps?
But I also want to say, how about that's part of your journey that you have to go because that creates detachment. You see, the more
Also,
detached you are,
also, yeah.
yeah. So is that so? Because I did this with someone yesterday, and she goes, "But I'm never going to do it." And I went, "But that's a choice you're making to keep yourself separated, because you guys aren't separated. You are one." Yeah.
Okay. The next question is question two. Why do masculines have a harder time accepting the twin flame journey than the feminines?
Because we want to keep running, 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 and we don't want to do the work because of our childhood trauma. And I've worked with loads of DMs, especially I've worked with lots of men. I've got more men coming to me now inner child wise than I ever have. But it is
Yeah.
because men have to be the strong masculine. Men have to be the it never happened to me. Of course I wasn't abused.
Also, I find the
And
men are often quite numb to their emotions. They're made it very clear,
honestly,
logical,
yeah,
mental.
I am logical. So like even though I've seen the signs and I have had a look on Google what they mean, I've been like, I ain't doing that. No, I don't want to do that. You see, because so I locked my heart away at the age of 4 because of what happened to me. And it was only because I met my soulmate, the third party, did she get me to open my heart and allow me to feel. And I was with the biggest feeler for a whole year.
Okay. Number three, but I think you've answered this as well. It says, will you want to be in physical union one day?
Hell yes.
Okay.
But I'm being very detached from that because I know right now for me, where I am is exactly where I need to be. And I'm with about 10 divine feminines as a divine masculine. And I am learning what it's like to be in a safe divine feminine house.
This is interesting. Okay. So I've heard this that when the divine masculine start to awaken, they go to God, and then they also get surrounded by a lot of other DFs or
Yeah.
DMs, but often DFs. And for me, the last couple of weeks, all my new friends that I talk to on a daily basis are all divine masculines. What does that mean? Does that mean we're changing into?
We're balancing. We're all starting to balance. That's how I see it. Okay. So, for example, a flood has wiped out my life completely, and I'm actually here, but I'm here because I'm learning the experience that I need to learn. But I've got to say also for me, I'm starting to work a lot more with men, which means I'm balancing my side of my divine masculine and my divine feminine. So I feel like we're balancing. This is what I
Okay,
see it as
okay.
intuitively. We are counterbalancing, and I've got to say, us twins are starting to find each other now because I've been on social media for 5 years,
Do
and
you,
actually, I am getting more and more twins find me now.
do you think it's easier for LGBTQ plus people to balance it, or like, because there's two arguments. Like, I'm a gay man, and to be a divine feminine sometimes a bit tricky because I've always had to be tough and the patriarchy and all the stuff and all that. But then on the other hand, perhaps it's easier for me to integrate masculine and feminine. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I stick with I'm a soul and I don't do a label, if I'm honest.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
But I would say for me, it feels like my twin has really had to balance herself because now I'm balancing myself. And my twin is in a constant state of surrender. There is no chase at all. And it's allowing me to balance. And I do, because I feel our connection 24/7 inside of me, and I can feel her heartbeat, but it feels like a lovely purr, and
Did
that's
you
what's
did you
happening for
feel
us
that?
twins.
Did you feel that from the beginning or happened later on?
No, I didn't feel her. I didn't feel anything of her until 2.5 years. Didn't feel her. But I did feel her think about me because that's a very different feeling. That's what the video I made. Yeah. So I used to feel the double heartbeat thing you guys get. I take it you get that, right? Do you?
Explain it, because like for me, as soon as I met him, I knew he was the one, and then all everything just started happening, like, and everything started collapsing, and then the dreams, the signs, him for like many weeks or months, literally, his ghost self or higher self just followed me around everywhere, and I kept seeing different times, different ages, and I kept seeing our future kids, and I would just walk around, and the kids will be there, and he'll be there, and they'll be having food, and I was like, what is going on here? I am going insane.
So I know. So I started feeling the double heartbeat thing. So what it is when I know that she's thinking about me, I get a like a boom, 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 boom,
Oh
boom,
yes.
and okay, and sometimes it can go on for a good couple of minutes. And I did sit there the other night, and I went, "Easy, baby, stop
But
it."
it's like anxiety sometimes. It feels like your heart's gonna
Yeah.
explode.
Yeah, so my twin started a new job on Tuesday. Again, I can only tell you intuitively, but I can tell you, oh, smoking hot. Okay, because I've seen what she's wearing because I can remote view her and she remote views me. But she started a new job on Tuesday and I held her all day Tuesday. And I said to her, you got this.
So your remote viewing was from the beginning or it happened later?
It just kept happening randomly. I didn't know it was remote viewing. I had no idea. Um, but she's remote viewed me more than I have her. Because I can feel her watching me and like she's just there. And sometimes I've been like, "What are you doing, looking at me?" And then in my head I'll hear, "Looking good," and then
So
she'll go.
so I can tell when my one's in a really distressful state.
Yeah, I can feel when she's cried. And I want to say, like, the tears are proper. Like, I think it was about 4 months ago. I was driving and I just had all of these tears coming down my face. And I was like, oh my God, baby, what are you going through? And in my heart, I could feel her heart was breaking open. And that was because I just got back with my partner again for the 10th time, you know?
What was
But you
the
see, I stayed with my partner. Can I just say that? I stayed with my partner because I knew I had to learn the lessons. And I didn't want to meet anybody else to get the last little bit of what she gave me. The last time I went back with her for just 3 weeks, I learned loads more, but I would have had to meet someone else to get that lesson. So I knew intuitively, as an energy reader, I was like, I got to stay with Kylie. I don't want to. I do not want to do this relationship, but I know I've got to learn something, you know?
and was your twin at that time seeing other people as well or no?
Yes, I had the pleasure of seeing my twin pleasure somebody else, and I was like, "Well, that's nice, isn't it?"
So what I've heard is if one twin, especially the feminine, becomes celibate, the other twin is forced into celibacy. And if you have energy leaks, sexual leaks, for example, then your twin will mirror that too, because it's almost like an energy bucket, you could say. And the more
Yeah,
you got sexual energy there, it comes out from both people. But if
yeah,
you learn
yeah.
to
It does.
calm that down, then
Yeah.
there's none of that excess left.
No, so I've got to say honestly, being intimate with my soulmate towards the end was near on impossible, and that's because my twin was just holding space for me and being celibate. But she had, from my knowledge, two very short relationships, and I remember her sitting opposite a guy in a restaurant. And again, intuitively, I know this because I was with her in the experience, and she was just like, "Nobody is going to make me feel the way Kelly's." And then I want to tell you honestly, and I'm going to give you this. She ended her relationship, and then the day after, me and my soulmate broke up because we had a massive row out of no. It came from nowhere.
So do you think twin flames choose as one then?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was your biggest breakthrough you had on the journey so far?
My biggest breakthrough. God. Probably my biggest breakthrough. I've just gone through 4 massive pieces of work in 5 weeks.
Wow.
But that's because my DF is pushing me. So I've looked at mother wound, abandonment wounds. I had an incestuous relationship with my brother. I've just done that. And then I've also revisited other areas of myself and really come home to myself. So I feel like I'm on a mission, okay, to do so much with me.
So do you think the divine masculines, first of all, I want to say thank you for being so honest and sharing very private information, because it's a lot
Thank you.
for anyone to be so transparent, but it's very helpful to everyone. But do you feel that the divine masculines go through stuff quicker then? They heal quicker?
No, no, not at all. No, because I've had to revisit so many things so many times because scary stuff has come up for me.
Okay.
And even though I'm brilliant at what I do, I I know there is that part of me, because here's one, and I just want to end with this, okay? If you've got a lot of childhood trauma, your DM does, or any of you, you have no idea your identity if you stop being the survivor or the victim.
Yeah.
And honestly, even though I really wanted to heal, I had no clue who I would be without being the sexually abused child that had all of this trauma. Because everybody talks about this peace and this calm. And I was like, hold on a minute. All of my life, since I was 4 years old, I have been scared, anxious, depressed, alcoholic, etc. I have no clue what that looks like on the other side. So that is the reason why we run. We don't know who we're going to be on the other side.
Um, what? Okay, this is another question, which is a little chasey, I think, but you can decide. What does the DM want the DF to do to get him or her to choose them?
Surrender.
Surrender. And what is surrender? Can you like give a definition of it? Because
Okay.
there's so many
Yeah.
layers to. I've tried to surrender so many times, and now
Okay,
I
so I'm going to give
now
you
I
this. This is
feel.
what I teach people.
Go on.
This is what I coach people with. Okay. So I want you to imagine that you are sitting here or whatever you're doing, and I want you to imagine you're going to step out of your body. Okay. So imagine you're going to step out of your body, and I want you to imagine that you are going to turn around and you are going to face yourself and you are going to look at yourself. And I want you to just focus on you, because that creates the surrender for me, and that creates my missing opportunity, and that allows me to miss your energy, because all you're doing is looking at you and you are focused on you.
So
That is surrender.
does the DM have to feel the missing energy then?
Oh, I had to miss my twin. I think we said that before off camera, but
Yeah, we did.
I literally had to miss her, because I remember waking up next day after she had surrendered and I went, well, where you gone? And I remember chasing it and going, I want you back. And I didn't feel anything for 6 months from my twin. And it was only then that I went, well, best I better wake up then. And I remember saying that to myself. I went, well, I guess I wake up and do some work then. And I did.
So what does surrender look like? I guess if you say yes or no, does surrender look like no longer contacting your twin flame physically?
Yes, definitely.
Does surrender look like no longer checking on them here and there on their social media? What about that one?
No, no, because I want to say there's a difference between checking. Okay, there is an obsessive checking where you are like, we can feel it when you obsessively check. Okay, but I know when my twin goes on my social media, she's like, "What are you doing, baby? Are you okay?" And I can feel it, that she's not chasing me. She's like, "I know you've been crying," because she can feel I've been crying, and then she'll make an appearance on my social media just afterwards, and I know she's like, I'm here for you. It's okay.
And what
And
about
we can feel that.
if people check their twins' social media and get triggered?
Then it's something that you need to heal inside of yourself, because we are just your beautiful mirror. And
Yeah.
I'll always say this: whatever you find that you don't like about your twin is somewhere inside of you, because you are holding a story that is running a belief, and it's something to do with a previous version of you.
And
Because
what
if
if?
we talk about the quantum,
Yeah.
previous versions of you hold energy. So if you heal previous versions of you, even 23-year-old you, 23-year-old you might have been an idiot. What you can do is step outside of your body, and you can go and talk to 23-year-old you, and you can go, do you know what? It's okay. Because healing is self acceptance. It's going, I'm okay with whatever has happened, because I know that that was my experience.
And then, so when people check their twins' social media, sometimes they can feel the energy behind it. Like they can feel whether their twin flame's happy or sad.
Yeah.
Um, and so you're saying that's okay as well. That's not chasing, just here and there checking from
Yeah,
a
here
from
and
a
there checking
balance
is
from
lovely,
a
but it's when
balance.
you do it every single day that becomes a problem. Yeah. So I felt when she found me on social media in March last year, and I was like, "You're watching all of my videos," and I remember in my head, and I went, "Please stop that! It's causing me anxiety." And then she disappeared for about 2 weeks, and then she just checked on me, and yeah, she's just checked on me, and I want to say it feels really lovely when it's a checking energy. So check how you are. How are you feeling inside of yourself before? Are you feeling nice and calm, or are you checking because you're like, what's he doing? Think
Yeah,
about that before you do it. Because if you come to us nice and peaceful and calm, as the DM, I can feel that whenever my twin has a look, she's like, are you all right? I know you've been crying. What's going on for you? Make sense?
it does. And then sometimes you check on them, and it's just if you don't check on them for a while, you get a feeling that they're pulling on you to check on them.
Yeah, yeah, no, 100%. The DF I'm living with, because of what's been happening with the trial and stuff regarding her DM, she's known that there's been something big that's happened in the case because it's in the papers and stuff. And she has been like, okay, I know what you're going through.
And then
So she gets a feeling,
does the
and she goes and checks on her twin.
and the DM checks as well.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, my twin's not on social media. Well, she is, but I don't actively look for her because I know that that would be me chasing her, because it's coming from the wrong place from me. But I have, as I said, I have found her son on social media, and I've been like, "What are you doing, dude?" Because he's 19. He's a cool guy, but yeah, he's a lovely, very feminine, beautiful man who is just going, "I don't care about the world."
Yeah,
So yeah,
rebellion.
but my twin did unblock me in 2020, and I did look a picture of her, and I went, "Oh my god, you are heartbroken. Oh my god, you are absolutely destroyed." Because I saw a picture, and I was like, "It's like the light's gone out in your eyes." And she told me when she met me, and she said, "I've had my head down for 17 years, and you've brought the light back into my life, and you make me see, and I'm looking up."
What about like this need for some twins to look for validation and attention? So I get it with DFs as well. Now I don't know whether people are true twin flames or not twin flame. I don't know. It's not for me to judge. But sometimes I get some DFs messaging me and saying my DM's doing all this stuff on social media, or they're sleeping around and they're doing crazy stuff. I'm like, okay, look at your own energy. And then I just click on their Instagram, or I might check on it, and then they've got OnlyFans accounts, these DFs do, or they're taking pictures on social media in their underwear, their bikinis, like really sexual, seductive stuff. And then they have the audacity in a way to kind of point fingers at their masculine. And I'm always like, check yourself first in a way.
Yeah, check yourself. But I also want to say, and this is true for me, I have slept with hundreds of people because it's the only way I can feel. Okay, so for me, sex is love.
Has
Okay,
that
I'm
changed
being
now?
so I'm being so honest. Um, I've let a lot of men and women do awful, awful things to me because I've just wanted to feel. But I thought, and I would still say this until a year and a half ago, I believe that if I slept with somebody, that's because they love me or somebody cares about me to be nice to me. But because I've been so badly abused, nah, I
Has
just kept sleeping around, honestly.
has that changed for you then?
Yeah, yeah. Now I will only be with someone. Well, I'll only be with my twin if I'm fair. I don't want to be with anybody else. But that only happened New Year. A New Year I went, I don't want to be with anybody but my twin.
I think on New Year's Eve, a lot of us divine feminine surrendered.
Can I say you did? Because I did a future self meditation on the first, and I saw me and my twin, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do this now. And then my van got flooded, and now I've just lost everything. But I'm exactly where I want to be, where I need to be.
So in that conversation we're just having, so those twins that contact me who are complaining, whatever, but they're doing the pictures and whatever they're doing, it's because that's the way they feel that they can get love.
Yeah. Honestly, that is why I was dating profiles. That's why I was even an alcoholic for 2.5 years. I drunk and drunk and drunk because I didn't want to feel what I was remembering. For example, that's why I drunk. Never did drugs, but I would honestly tell you, I've slept with hundreds of people because I just want to feel something, because I can't feel anything, because I'm so depressed, and because little me. That's the way I know that love.
But then during separation, when all this is happening and running and chasing and avoiding and sleeping around or pictures or addictions, that really messes up their twin flame connection with your
Yeah, it
partner.
does. But it takes, so I only stopped once she surrendered.
And how can it be repaired then after all this damage?
Because what I want to say is, unconditionally, at highest soul, because I'm my higher self incarnate, okay, I know I have said and done some awful things to my twin, but I know that she knows that she wasn't the one who could teach me the lessons, and that even though I've said things really awful to her, I know that she knows that it's only been done out of the highest act of unconditional love between the both of us. We both know, both me and my twin know, what we have is so beautiful, and we just know.
And then that leads me on to sacred sexuality versus distorted sexuality. And a lot of sexuality on earth is very distorted, I believe. If
Very.
you go on Instagram, it's all just half naked people and look at me, attention, love me, and then sex and nudity is used as a way to kind of get people's heads to turn, and it's like give it to everyone. It's freedom. Whereas when you're a twin flame, you understand divine sex and sacred sex, and the importance of keeping your sexuality with your twin, in a sacred bubble. And I think sex is such a big energy leak because you get people asking, oh, should I just wait or should I date around? Can I sleep with other people? And that's one of the questions someone asked is, do you chat or meet other women? So what is your take on sexuality? The
So can I
energy.
just can I just give some of you DFs a really good book suggestion? Is that okay to just share?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay, so if you want to know about your DM, okay, it's called The Fire in the Belly, okay, and it's by Sam Keen. It's a very old book, okay. However, it talks about the divine masculine. This guy writes about the divine masculine, okay. So if you want to understand everything a man is experiencing in terms of his mother, in terms of his friends, etc., that's a really good book. I'm reading it because I'm learning more about me, even though I'm like a divine masculine in a female body. Yeah,
Yeah.
because this is my archetype, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And then when you were just saying about sex and it being incredibly sacred.
Yeah. Because we're in distorted programs or distorted matrices on sex on Earth.
We
And
are, and I've got to say, like, I was meeting with a group of people, and I can't understand why, for me, now I've healed, why people want to sleep around and put themselves about, but it's only because I've healed. And I know that I am worth the most beautiful, amazing lovemaking experience of my life, and I want it to be pure. I don't want it to be dirty no more. And I've got to say, all the people that I've slept with, I've always walked away and felt dirty and disgusting, but I can only admit that to you now, 5 years on.
yeah,
I've always felt cheap. I've always felt used, abused, disgusted. I've just scratched an itch, if I want to be honest with you. But the
and
only itch I've got is for my twin.
twin flames, there's sometimes competitive natures between them, and they hurt each other. or they
Yeah.
say things which can be harmful. Now, is that common, or is that useful, or how can we be more compassionate to each other?
I would say in the beginning, I think you guys have to trigger each other so much because you're trying to get each other to heal the simultaneous wounds.
Yeah.
I would always say what wound is in your twin is in you somewhere. So if you go and do whatever it is that you need to do, that bit of healing, that will filter down our energetic cord in our solar plexus. And we do feel that you've just done that. And like I said to you earlier, I knew my twin had been working on her dad, and then I worked on my dad 6 weeks later.
Okay. Um, if you okay, with some of these questions we've talked about, so I'm gonna ask you a question about dark forces, dark entities, negative influences, whatever archons, dark magic, past lives, and effects that try to get twin flames separated. Do you believe in all that construct and thinking?
Ah, I don't, but I can understand it. Okay, so human me, yes, human me gets it. Higher self me understands that it's just a false matrix program that's running. Okay, I don't believe
What do you
there's
mean?
any dark stuff out there. Personally, even though I am very awake, and I'm going to use that term, I know what you know. Okay. However, I have unfollowed everybody in the truth movement because I knew that they were using my energy for not the right reasons.
Can you explain that more? So I
I'm
want
going
to.
to be very, I've got to be careful what we say because
Okay.
we have. Okay. However, I'll say this honestly, they can't manifest because they're disconnected from their soul. Okay. So they require telling us what they want us to do. So that's why we see all that.
Does that
There's an
affect?
asteroid coming, there's this coming, whatever, because we manifest it for them, which makes it happen,
Right.
which is why we're seeing more of it now. So where you're seeing all this stuff about dark forces, they can't manifest. They need us to invest our energy into believing in it, to create it for them, to make it happen.
I
Does that
understand.
that should sit?
I understand. And then does that mean that twin flames get attacked by these? Do divine masculines get attacked by these things? Because I've heard all sorts. So in the beginning, I've never really thought about this. So I've always seen angelic beings and ascended masters. Like I've always had the ability to connect to that. And then over lockdown, there was a lot of fear in the world, but I never got down in that vibration. But I was watching people like Elizabeth April who talked about these things, and then I started tapping into that and seeing it. And then with the twin flame, I didn't think about any of that stuff because I follow Abraham Hicks and Bashar. And then some psychics or shamans or whatever started saying, oh, your twin flame surrounded by darkness and energies and all this and archons. And then I started seeing that and the dreams of that. So do you think it's just perception and attraction?
Yeah, it's perception. And I also do want to say, and I've worked with a lot of people here like this in terms of inner child work. Okay, is the shadow self can manifest into into an entity.
And do those entities then take our energy or stop our union? Do they make the masculine do
Yeah,
some?
they can do. They can do. Yeah, yeah. But I want to say again, like you've got to remember, it's wherever you put your focus is whatever's going to happen.
Does it affect
So if
masculine?
you put your energy towards the dark, you're going to see more of the dark.
Right.
But if you come back home to you and you focus on you and stop looking at social media, because I'm off social media now. I use social media for business. I never scroll. But that only happened 6 weeks ago because my twin came to me in a dream and said, "You got to stop that because I don't do social media and we're going to have a family unit." So I stopped. To just remember wherever you're putting your attention, you're manifesting that because you're focusing on that. So if you want to focus on dark forces, you're going to see it everywhere. If you and I want to say this honestly, if you focus on your reunion signs, you can create that because you don't know how powerful you are. And your reunion happens in here before it happens out there.
So how do we? Okay, so we redirect our focus on ourselves and loving ourselves, and that just gets rid of all those other things that we
Yeah,
focus on.
because but then it's also about, as things come up, sit there and say, why do I believe what I believe? Was it what someone told me?
Hmm.
Where did I learn that?
It's fear.
And
Fear.
why do I think that? Because it's fear, and we know fear is a false experience that appears real.
Yeah. And then does that also impact our twin flame then? If we
Yes.
come home to ourselves and don't think about darkness, we just think about light. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's also about understanding the light can't exist without the darkness, and the darkness can't exist without the light. But it's where you put your attention and your focus. Yeah. So, for example, acknowledge there is the darkness and understand, where does that darkness sit inside of me, and how much attention and meaning do I want to give that darkness?
Do you believe that twin flames have a divine purpose as a couple?
I do, yes. So, and I'm going to make a video on this, so you're getting this ahead of time. Okay, all right. So, I feel like, as somebody that is very out there helping, I'm here to help millions of people heal. Okay, but what I need a beautiful divine feminine who is going to cook me a meal, who is going to run me a bath, who is going to do all the things that I need, and she's going to give me a cuddle when I've just finished a really traumatic inner child session at 11:30 at night because that person's in America. And there are times, honestly, that I've been like, and this is recent, and I've been like, I just wish I had someone to cuddle me and say, I hear you, I get what's just happened. And that's where I think there's the balance that is created. So I think there are a lot of very spiritual DMs out there, but we need the creative side. And you're nurturing and you love us unconditionally. That's how it works. Yeah. So the DF comes in and holds us and nurture us and loves us and protects us. And then we're the provider bringing the money. Because I know I'm going to bring millions into the family. But what I need is my divine feminine going, have a hug, baby. It's going to be, and it's just like I can vision it because I can feel it because I can see it. And that's kind of how I feel the divine purpose is. So someone said to me yesterday, do both twins have the same gifts? And I would say, honestly, no. I'm the very intuitive gifted one, if you want to call it. But what I will say is my divine feminine is incredibly intuitive, but she is my nurturer, my mum, my whatever, all in one.
So, do you believe that twin flames have then, therefore, a spiritual purpose, or they could have purposes that are very 3D, but they bring light to those, or something?
I would say both, yeah, honestly, I would, because I just feel like I didn't know until last week that actually I'm here to help twin flames heal their inner child. I didn't know that, but I know that this channel has been so much more successful, and I've only been on it 10 days. And already I'm getting 10,000 plus views on my videos, and yet my other channel's been up for 18 months. I'm lucky if I get near 1,000 views on a video. Not that I'm saying I'm lucky, but it's almost like my content is on that channel is being seen by a different audience. Whereas I feel like, because I'm a divine masculine,
You're needed.
I'm needed. And I honestly, I did a meditation just before New Year, and my twin came and she said, it's time. You
So,
need to make your channel.
do you believe a lot of careers will be changed for twin flames
Yeah,
then?
yeah, yeah, I
Because,
do. And I just feel like we're here to help the consciousness ascend in the planet.
and
And you see, the more of us that come into union, the more of us that hold that unconditional love.
and the purpose then for twin flames is not egoic; it's more about helping others. Do you think?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I would say, also, I've just noticed this recently because I'm in like union with myself, the abundance is pouring in. Like literally, I
Oh
am just like
yes. Oh
constantly,
yes. When you
but it's only come in since I've done my healing. So all those people that are chasing the money, yeah, it'll only come in when you come to rest inside of yourself and you're nice and peaceful.
see, I believe when you focus on God and helping others, the money comes in droves.
But it comes from various ways, though.
Yes.
Like I just got like $100 this morning, and I was like, okay, where'd that come from? And I was like, oh my god, you paid me for that from like a year ago. You know, really weird. So yeah,
I think we're coming towards the last two questions. So the penultimate question is about soul merge and telepathy, and like you talk about this on your channel, like you can feel everything, hear everything. How does that happen? When does that happen? And a little bit.
Hold on a second. No, that's okay. I just thought someone was at the door. No, they're not. The dogs haven't barked. That's okay. Sorry. So the soul merge for me was really, really scary. And that was 2020 actually. And I felt really, really drunk. And because my twin's 5'9", I'm only 5'1". And I felt her body come into me, and I felt her head literally merge inside of mine. And I remember looking at my hands and going, because my twin's got massive hands, and I was like, my hands are growing, my legs are growing. And then I was drunk and I felt really whoa for about 2 hours. And I went to sleep and I woke up and I was like, I feel feminine. What's that? And then I Googled what it meant.
Oh, that's interesting as well. Like, so before we do the last question, it's about, quite often I've heard this, and it's also true in my case. The divine masculine sometimes in the beginning shows very feminine traits, and the divine feminine
Yeah.
is in her masculine. Like they seem to be flipped.
Yeah, no. So my DF obviously blocked me because she had to focus on family, stability, and her children, which is the masculine role. And she had to become the provider because she left her narcissistic partner. So all of a sudden, she had to go out there and earn some money or do whatever she did to get the money in. So yeah, that totally flipped 100%. But I've got to say this, okay? I as a woman, I did grow my hair, which looks awful. Okay. And I did paint my nails and I did dress more feminine because I was aware, I thought at the time that I was the DF, you see. Okay. So that's why I started behaving that way. And I didn't understand the DFDM role until I really started to research things and look at
But
things.
do you think it's less of how you look on the outside? It's more of the energy inside, isn't it?
It's the energy inside, yeah. So I would say now I'm very balanced because I'm very boundaried. I never abandon myself and I'm always caring and looking for myself.
So do you feel like a lot of divine masculines are in their feminine and a lot of feminines are in their masculines?
Yes.
And they're not
Yeah.
balanced. Do they need to be balanced, or do they need to be feminine, feminine, masculine, masculine, or do you be both?
It happens naturally.
Okay.
Okay. So naturally, like my twins just started a job on Tuesday. Okay. So she is now providing her for herself rather than living off maintenance and whatever that comes from her ex-husband.
Okay.
Yeah. So she's now providing for herself so that she doesn't have that attachment to him. And then I'm now nurturing myself because I'm with divine feminines here. And I'm dressing better. I'm taking care of my hair naturally because I used to have to get told to get a haircut.
Okay.
People would say to me, you need a haircut. Now I'm like, yeah, I'm going to, it just happens. It's like what I want to say is you create union in here which creates union out there.
How do you know whether you got union in here? Because I had a dream about a week and a half ago where I got married to my twin flame, and my friend who's a psychic, she says you've got inner union now, and your third eye's open, which has been open in the past. But all sorts of weird stuff started happening when I started going out the house. Like I started connecting with nature
So
and birds and
yeah,
all
yeah.
sorts.
Okay, so yeah, you are. So for me, and again, this is only my view, okay? So union is feeling the oneness. And it's feeling deep, deep, deep unconditional love for everything you see and for every being. So even if I see someone crying or suffering, I have that unconditional love because I'm like, oh my God, what's your story? But the oneness for
Okay.
me, the oneness of everything is the biggest sign of union. And also, I feel so peaceful and so calm all of the time. Even being told last Friday that my caravan has been written off, I've got no insurance and I've just lost all my belongings, I didn't even freak out. I just went, okay, I wonder what's going to happen next then because it's got to be amazing.
My last question is, what message would you like to give to divine masculines and maybe divine feminines if you want, but let's do the masculines first because they're waking up.
What advice would I like to give? Do your inner work and find your inner child, and the rest will follow. And stop running.
So thank you. So your TikTok channel is Divine Feminine to Divine Masculine 888. I'll put all the description in.
Yeah.
I'll put all the information in the descriptions. It's been such an interesting conversation. We might
Thank
need to
you.
have follow-up conversations.
Yeah, I'm open to questions. Like I'm just putting myself out there as a divine masculine that is healed. I feel like I am anyhow because nothing triggers me,
And
and
then
I'm really happy. You
I'm
know.
I'm wondering whether we should do like a forum and invite a few people, maybe online or in person,
Yeah.
and
I honestly, my divine feminine came to me in a dream, like I said, and told me that now is the time. Oh, and just when you were talking about union, by the way, I had a dream, and I knew this. I just want to share this with you. I had a dream that I was in a queue for reunion, and my twin was two people ahead of me, and she had all of her papers, and she was ready. And then she looked at me and she went, "Well, what are you doing? Because you've not got many stamps in your book." And that was a true dream.
well, well,
So we
thank you.
do get the dreams. We do.
But I was getting all sorts of union signs last year in March when I was in Florida, Miami. But yeah, it's
I think you drop in and drop out of it, but at the moment, this is what I said to you earlier. It's almost like me and my twin are counterbalancing our energies. But because she is so peaceful and so calm, I'm coming into the peaceful and calm, and it's not that intense now. It's a beautiful purr inside of me. Whereas last week it was quite boom, 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 and very intense. Now, because she's in the deepest state of surrender, it's put me in this gorgeous, it
so
feels like that all day, every day.
so the
There's
DFs have
no
to
chasing.
get to a state of surrender and peace, and that helps the masculines. Yes. All
That would
right.
be my biggest message. But yes. So, anyhow, there you go. This is what it is, and it's been beautiful. Thank you so much.